You know Iowa's last game, Paulie? You know what happened in Iowa's last game?
Football?
Yeah.
Knowing Iowa football, they probably won in the fourth quarter.
They won, I think, the Holiday Bowl. They beat USC in the Holiday Bowl. Ended up 10-3, and their head coach, Kirk Ferentz, joins us on the program. Coach, how are you today?
Well, I'm doing well, and I appreciate you starting off with a positive note. That's good. That's always positive.
What is your time frame for getting your athletes back on campus or back working out?
Yeah, I think all of us right now are in limbo, just waiting to see what happens, and it's going to be really interesting because things are going to happen differently across the nation. We're already seeing that. But as far as bare minimums, I think most of us, at least in the conference, agree that at least 6 weeks would be preferred. And then I'm hopeful at least maybe 2 more weeks with our strength conditioning staff prior to us being around our guys. I think 8 weeks would give us a chance to be decent position for the start of the season.
Who's going to make the final decision? If I looked at just Iowa, is it the governor? Is it the president of the university? Is it going to be the Big Ten? When it comes to playing football, who has the final say on what Iowa does with football?
I think it's probably all the above. And, the conferences, they've been meeting regularly, and I think everybody's on the same page there, certainly. Hopefully we don't get to a scenario where, you get into September and 12 teams can't go and maybe 2 can't. But that's a possibility. So I think they've looked at all those possibilities. But, yeah, certainly I think the conference wants to be together as much as possible, like any league or any conference. But certainly the governor, the president, the athletic director, all those people have a prominent role. And at the bottom of the food chain would be the coaches, I think.
If I said that you could start on time, no fans, or start 6 weeks later with fans, what would you opt for?
Yeah, the problem there, if you slide the schedule back 3-4 weeks, I think that may be doable, although you have finals in December to contend with. But my guess is we'd probably go without fans. That's just one person's opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Does that change how you coach? Like, so much of college football is emotion. Like, I don't know. You ever done anything like
It
that?
is. Yeah, and it's certainly the players on the field, but I think anybody that if you've ever been in Kinnick Stadium when it's sold out and it's rocking, it adds a lot to the atmosphere. Conversely, when you go on the road, it's a big factor when you play on the road in a good environment, a tough environment. So yeah, it's going to be very sterile if that's the case. And the thing I would liken it to is when we have usually have a couple scrimmages in the spring and a couple in preseason camp. We're in your stadium and you're competing, but there's nobody there outside of the officials there working that and the coaches. So it's really a strange feeling, quite frankly. And the players are still competing, but it doesn't feel the same. Not like we're accustomed to.
What was your last contact like with the Big Ten? What was the last update?
That was actually this morning. We were on a 7 o'clock conference call, which they've been 6:30. I got on at 6:30. Wonder why nobody was there. One of those deals. Better early than late, right?
What was the
Full
update?
disclosure. Yeah, full disclosure. But anyway, I think we're just looking at all the possible scenarios right now and trying to plan for the better, planning for the worst, and still a lot of questions to be answered, just like everything else that's going on in the country right now.
I'm talking to Kirk Ferentz, the Iowa head coach. I'm wondering about this, though, Coach. You have Vanderbilt with the SEC, and their priorities aren't going to be football like it would be at other schools there. If it's Northwestern, is their priority going to be football or something else? The fact that certain states are going to be a little bit more permissible to allow, teams to get together, it could be an unfair advantage for some of these teams. Can you see where some schools might be playing and some schools won't be playing football in the fall?
I think it is possible. You can't rule anything out right now. And the bottom line for everything, and it's like everything we're doing all across the country right now, it's about the people's welfare, whether it be the players, the coaches and staff, certainly the fans in the stadium. So everybody involved. But yeah, I think that is a possibility. Hopefully, it's not a likelihood, but it is a possibility, and that's where some tough decisions are really going to have to get made. I think when it comes to game time, and then in terms of preparation, no question. I think some people might have. We're already seeing it where certain states are opening up a little faster than others. So yeah, there are a lot of factors in play, and it's just like most people in my profession. I guess I probably watch more television and news in the last 6 weeks than I have probably in the last 6 years, maybe 16 years. So, you just hear a lot of opinions. And I think bottom line is a lot of us don't really have answers to a lot of the issues out there right now.
Are you better at developing tight ends or tackles?
Well, the guys we can't develop as tight ends move to tackle. That's kind of been, that goes back to 1982 with John Hall, played for the Kansas City Chiefs. So yeah, we'll do whatever we have to do there. But
Well, you got some pretty good tight ends there, Coach. You got Kittle, Fant, Hawkinson, Dallas Clark. That's pretty good.
Well, it's really amazing. Noah came in here. Fant could run like a deer in high school, and he still can. They take a guy like Dallas Clark that was a walk-on linebacker here. He was like our third or fourth team linebacker back in 2000 or 99. We moved him over. So, it's an interesting thing. They all have different pedigree. They all come from different towns and all that stuff. But the bottom line is they all ended up being really good players, and we're really proud of all those guys.
If you were going to talk to Tom Brady about his new tackle, Tristan Wirfs, what would you tell him he's getting?
Well, I think he'll be really pleased. And, Tristan's an amazing kid. Grew up probably about 25 miles from here. And I always joke, he and AJ Epinesa are the kind of guys we never get. Boy, he came with a really good skill set. Actually played tackle. He's the first guy in 21 years to play tackle as a true freshman for us. I think he started 7 or 8 games. And the best thing about Tristan right now, he's a tremendous person, first and foremost, but also his upside. He's only played 3 years of college football. So the next couple of years, not that Tom Brady cares what Tristan's going to look like 4 years from now, but the next couple of years, he's just, I think, going to continue to blossom. He's a really good player and a tremendous young person.
Were you at Pitt when Dan Marino was there?
I actually was, yeah. So somehow, some way, we lost a game in 1980. I was there. We were 12-1, and what an unbelievable player Dan was, and tremendous guy.
Well, was Hugh Green there as well?
Yeah, so we had Dan was only a sophomore.
Jimbo Covert?
Hugh Green, Ricky Jackson,
wow.
Jimbo Covert, Russ Grimm. I mean, go right down the line.
These are Hall of Famers.
Yeah, that was my first exposure to major college football. You probably couldn't tell, but I didn't play major college football. It's you're 200 pounds and run a 5 flat. There wasn't a high man as a prospect. But yeah, that was my first exposure to major college football, and I'm looking around thinking, boy, this is pretty easy. Just get a bunch of guys look like this. They were great guys and outstanding players.
How close did you come to taking the Browns job in 2008? You can answer it now, Coach.
Yeah, my response has always been I've always felt like I needed a compelling reason to look elsewhere. And two things about it, I came here in 1981 from Pittsburgh. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I was working for my high school coach, Joe Moore, who is my, all-time mentor in sports. So I had an opportunity to come out here in 1981, thinking I'd be here 1 year, 2 years, get back to the East Coast. And we stayed here 9 years. It was hard for both of us, Mary and I, to leave. Then 9 years gone and back here 21. So, we've always had we've loved living here. We loved it as a family, and the professional opportunity's been great. So I never felt like I had a compelling reason to leave. And the other side spot, which, you never count on this, we've had 3 of our sons go through the program. So, it's really hard to put a price tag on that. It's really been a valuable and very unique experience that way.
Plus, weren't you Jim Harbaugh's offensive coordinator? Were you there in Baltimore?
Yeah, I was in Coach Marchabroda.
How was Harbaugh as a quarterback?
You have a good staff, or you've done your homework?
I'm old, Coach.
Marchabroda.
I'm right there with you. I'm old.
I remember we had a meeting actually about the quarterbacks that were available that year, and the last thing Coach Marchabroda got up in front of the group and said, just remember this. He goes, Jimmy kind of flies by the seat of his pants. And I was scratching my head wondering, what's that mean? And then when you meet Jim, you kind of figure that out real quickly. But he was fantastic. He did a great job, great leader.
And then you get to compete with him.
Yeah, it's funny how you hang around long enough, you never know what's going to happen. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been really interesting.
Well, good luck, Coach, with whatever happens. I know people say it's the new normal. It's the new abnormal because we have no idea what's in store. But hopefully we get some college football, and we appreciate your time.
That's a better way to put it for sure. I appreciate being on. Thanks, Dan.
That's Kirk Ferentz, Iowa head football coach.